And we welcome you to season 3, episode 1. It's WWE Unreal here on This Is Wrestling. Versage, Zach McGibbon, and Zach, there is nothing like a brand new season. You kind of shake off all the cobwebs. You're starting from a new foundation. Are you ready for season 3 of WWE Unreal?
That is a great question, Mr. Versage. I don't know if I am truly ready for what's to come for WWE Unreal, especially after this first episode. You know, as soon as you would say, no, we had all this content coming up that we were recording, like, oh, WWE Unreal, we're going back to it. It's like, are we? I didn't want to commit and say yes, but it was on the record, and lo and behold, here we are. But Lee, once you explained the why we're doing this, once you explain the why this all is happening, I realize, you know what, this is why we're doing it, because it all goes back to the audience. And so that's what I'm getting myself ready for with WWE Unreal is how many episodes is it? 5? I haven't gone ahead. I'm hoping it's 2. I'm hoping it's a 3-parter and we can be done. But
setting the tone early, Zach McGibbon.
But yes, I'm ready to review what I watched, what I consumed. I'm ready to give my thoughts on it.
So I'm going to look up exactly how many episodes it is. But again, the why, Zach, the why.
Not the YMCA.
No, just the why.
Yeah.
Why we do it and why I probably strong-armed you, forced you into doing this with me is because the audience needs us, Zach. The WWE audience, they need a refreshing point of view. And if you're a complete wrestling fan, if you're an AEW fan, you probably understand where we're coming from. If you're a WWE fan, I think sometimes you got to roll with the punches. Like, you get to see what you consume if you're a WWE fan. There are parts of the first episode that I didn't mind, and I'm gonna probably prioritize those early, set the tempo. But there are also things that, again, one of the reasons we do this is because somebody needs to hold a reality show accountable. Like, when it's a behind the scenes look, this isn't just us going through it. It's, no, well, here's what actually happened, and here's what they didn't tell you. The audience needs that, Zach.
I agree. I think it's important to have that sort of voice out there whenever you have these, especially with the history of WWE and what they like to put out for public consumption. I think it's important to have that critical voice, I think is the right way of saying it, to kind of analyze shows like this and the content that's being provided by WWE and provide that counterbalance. Say, look, this is what they're saying. This is what's actually true about it. And these are the things we like. These are the things we didn't like. Now, having said all that, I know I came off strong right at the start of the episode, but there were some things in this first episode. It's like, all right, in terms of human emotion, getting to know somebody, they did a good job. But there will be other things already in this first episode, Lee, that I'm like, oh boy, I've got the seatbelt on. I'm ready to go. This is going to be a bumpy ride if this is what episode 1 is.
This is what the people pay for on this show, Zach. They pay for you to strap that seatbelt in and get going. So we mentioned the why. That is the title of season 3, episode 1, the why. And it starts right off with John Cena talking about the last year retirement and the why for him and what he's getting into. And honestly, Zach, like, as it started, if the episode started at like 0, I'm not sure exactly when it started with the credits and stuff, but strong start from John Cena because very recognizable. It is going to be about him most of this series. And like John Cena is so polished and so professional all the time, no matter what. And he like annoyingly always says the right things to a fault where sometimes like, John, I need more out of you. Like kind of how I feel a little bit about Tony Khan. Like
Yep.
I want to know more about Tony Khan and he just doesn't give you anything. I want to know like Cena does exactly what he should and says everything that he knows is going to come across as like there's nothing polarizing. He wants to come across as very real. I don't know that he does, but when you start with John Cena and about the why and about the retirement, I understand why they did that. And it took me, I can tell you, I wrote down the time. Nothing struck me until the 6-minute mark of this show. But then at the 6-minute mark, yeah, I'm already like throwing things at the television. But I would like to give them credit because starting off with their most recognizable figure, having him come right into your living room, close up on John Cena, when he talks, I still want to listen. And I can tell you that has gone away for a lot of people, including another guy that's on this program, where I didn't used to feel that way. But for John Cena, he has this, I want to listen to him, even though I know at the end he's probably not going to say that much. Do you feel that way? Like, how do you feel about kind of John Cena, especially in this side, like trying to give some of the behind the scenes views of what's going on?
I think he's a good speaker. I think sometimes, though, the content of what he's saying, he says a lot and then doesn't say anything. And I got a lot of that for the first 3 minutes. Although there was one line that kind of set me off right away. I'm glad it took you 6 minutes. It took me about 3. In terms of like what? Like having to turn my head and be like, sorry, did you really say that? Like him trying to get adjusted to being a heel and having all these ideas that he wanted to put together. And he's like waking up in the middle of the night trying to come up with all these ideas. Maybe it's the same ideas given to him to Michael Hayes, who was chosen by God to book pro wrestling. Like maybe that's the same thing. But the thing that made me like turn my head and be like, what? Is when he's like, well, I've got to change how I do this. I got to be boring. And so when I did the WrestleMania main event and all the fans said it was boring, he's like, he did this thumbs up. It's like, I got you. What? You were boring on purpose? You're willing to go on the screen and admit that? It's like, and then you fooled me? Like, no, it's now, thankfully, somebody with some sense. I don't know if it's Triple H. I'm sure they credited him in this because you got to credit him with the success.
And they don't.
Somebody with some sense came over. Is like, John, the heat's not going to you. The heat's going back on the company. Think of this. And it actually made me think, like, when he said that, it's like, is he thinking a little too hard on this pro wrestling thing? It kind of took me aback a little bit when he said that. That was the first 3 minutes, Lee, and I was like, oh, geez, this is the tone.
So that's what I said about the credits, because this is the exact point where I jumped in and was like, I don't know about this. So yeah, let's talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Number one, they want you to believe that John Cena came up with the idea to turn heel and do something that he had never done, and not only turn heel, but be boring and come out and ruin wrestling. And like that, this was all like, if you watch this, you thought this was John Cena's idea from 0 to 100 where it took off.
Yep.
But they showed in the last season that that's not what happened.
No. They showed Triple H in what has now become a meme of him explaining entrances, like, and describing everything. So now all of a sudden it's a shift of like, oh, this is actually like John was really like putting all of this together, and like he was thinking up all these ideas, and we were working collaboratively on this. And it's like,
like basic, John had all the kind of right to do whatever he wanted to do. He's John Cena.
Yes.
But what really got me is like right after this, that when you said that they might have given Triple H credit, no. Triple H gave Triple H a lot of credit. And
I was actually being too nice to Paul.
Triple H is actually said like, hey, John, this ain't working. We got to change it. We got to change things up. But, not a bad idea. And like, we went with you, but you know what? I know what the audience wants. I'm Triple H, and I'm the one that's going to change it. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, in 6 minutes, Triple H is taking credit for something that he did not do. And I wrote down unreal, all right.
Yeah.
Again, now my notes like 6 minutes in, probably 3 or 4 based on the beginning. And
yeah,
I was, you guys, that's not true.
I was already 3 minutes. I just was throwing my hands up and I'm like, I got to do how many episodes of this? I can't. I was already thinking of that white towel. Be like, Lee, I think we should just bail on this and just, I don't know what else, if I could do any more of this.
No, you can't, because.
But we're locked in.
No, and you feeling like this is awesome. Because you're going to feel like this.
Lee, legitimately going into this, like, maybe I'm being too harsh on this. Maybe maybe I'm being too harsh on this, because there were some things last season in terms of actually looking at the wrestlers that was actually pretty decently done, like in terms of like character interest stuff. I was like, okay, maybe they'll lean into more of that this year, and maybe we'll do this. And then again, first 6-3 is not the first 10, like just the opening of the show right away hits you in the face. The
thing is that bothered me the most. Like, I know that Triple H isn't telling the truth and John Cena is not telling the truth, but they showed it last season.
Yes.
Like the end of season 2 was the John Cena heel turn, like into WrestleMania.
Yes.
They showed
John Cena has gone on record to say that was an idea of theirs, and I was willing to just go along with it.
Yes. And now it's all John Cena's idea that didn't go right, so Triple H can take the credit for correcting the course?
Oh, my God.
Like, come on. You showed it in your show at the end of last year. This isn't just Zach and Lee like coming on going, well, we know better because we're wrestling people and we're smart.
Right. No, they showed this in the series.
Yes. And they literally went back on it in the first few minutes of the show. And I'm like, come on.
First 5 minutes. First 5 we had to do this. Huh?
Yeah. Okay.
But it's all about what the audience and like listening to the audience and how it is all. The audience dictates what they do, Lee. Like, yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff.
One of the other things that John Cena said was that he didn't put more effort into any year than he did the last one. How did you feel about that sentence?
I was wishy-washy on it. If I truly believe what John's saying, that I purposefully went out there in the WrestleMania main event to have a boring match because the idea was I was going to ruin wrestling. Like, first of all, talk about meta. Like, that is like so meta to the point of like, maybe we got to pull back on this. I mean, you look at the difference in character and how it was wrestled after Cena turns back to a babyface with Cody. And people have varying opinions on that. I think if you ask the general wrestling fan, they're higher on the Cody Cena 2 match at SummerSlam than I was. But there's a there's a clear, like, I definitely felt like the effort level improved after he turned babyface.
1,000,000%. And yeah, the problem with 2 and how to kind of judge it, like Cena Rhodes 2, is that Cena Rhodes 1 was so bad that people are like, oh my God, like this was so great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it was a lot better than WrestleMania, but that's what you're comparing it to.
Yep.
You're not comparing it to other great matches. You're comparing it to the last match that they had that was one of the worst matches of all time in a big spot.
Yep. That if you were to take Cena's word, he did that on purpose. Because he was trying to work a character.
So I guess the other part that I had, like, I get it. He said he never put any more effort into a year in his career than he did the last one. He had 18 matches in 2025. He had won the year before, 8 the year before, 1 the year before that. So yeah, he worked a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
In 2011, he wrestled 202 times. 2012, he wrestled 183 times. In 2013, he wrestled 143 times. His win percentage was 95%.
Wow. LOL, Cena wins was hard during that era. Let me tell you.
That was his best win percentage.
Yeah.
And like he went through a stretch where, I mean, this wouldn't really surprise you, but he went through a stretch where it was like 81%, 89%, 95%, 86%, and then 92%. But the point is, Zach, is that like over like a 5-year span, he wrestled like 900 times. Plus all the appearances we know, all the things he did behind the scenes. Yeah. It's hard for me to believe, like, when he says that he never put any more effort into the one that he did this year. I'm like, okay, like mentally maybe, like only because you had 18 matches and like 25 appearances or whatever it was, you put a lot of time and a lot of thought into those. Maybe too much, apparently.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, that's the year I put the most effort into ever. And I wrestled 18 times.
But while also saying, oh, by the way, I just followed what Triple H said. You know what I mean? Like, I put so much effort in, but also I just listened to what Triple H said. It can't be both. Like, there was a part in the first bit as well where we get our first cut into the writer's room. Like, oh, we're back in the writer's room. What do they have cooking up in there in the writer's room in Stamford, Connecticut? But apparently this idea was pitched of doing a count out in one of the big matches.
Do you not think they were being sarcastic when they said that?
I hope to God they were, Lee. But I hope to God they were. But if Cena's going out there and saying I'm being boring on purpose, and that's what I gave to you with a thumbs up and a smile on his face to the camera, a wink and a smile, saying this is the effort I put in for the main event because this is what I was going for. Is it really this far-fetched that he would think of a count-out idea? Saying he ruined wrestling? And then the list of matches, by the way, that they was like all the opponents he faced off. It was like Randy Orton. Well, you know, I get it. CM Punk.
R-Truth.
It's like, wait a minute. One of these things is not like the other here. Cody Rhodes. Wait a minute. What's going on here? You can't just sneak that by me. Just think I'm just going to accept that.
Yeah. So the last line before they moved on to down to Georgia to see Braun Breaker fishing, Triple H telling the writers in the room that over the next year they need to get the younger guys in the mix and have an idea of where they're going with them.
I put a pin on that comment when he said that. It's like, oh boy, let's see you put that to test here, Triple H, Paul Levesque, over these next however many episodes of this godforsaken series we're gonna watch here. So I heard that. It's like, okay, let's hear what this writer's room thinks is a big push for a young and up and coming talent.
Yeah.
Because we obviously we're looking at this through the where we're currently at. And Lee, other than maybe Oba Femi, who's on the ascent, I'm looking at Braun Breaker as like, well,
so the whole point of them cutting to Braun Breaker right after that is basically saying to the audience, like, here is one of our next big young talents, right?
Yep.
And we know that where they are now compared to, I guess, then and maybe what they were thinking. But I just couldn't believe he said that line out loud and put it in the show, because we now have the history of what they did after that.
Yes.
Like, we're able to track that.
Yes, we know how this has progressed since then, since that comment was made. So I heard that comment. I'm like, I'm fascinated, but in a totally different way.
Yeah.
How they look at a push of a young guy.
So again, they get to Braun Breaker, and let's put kind of what we know aside from after this. This is where I thought, okay, like, until a few minutes later where I sort of went sideways again. I thought they did a good job, Zach. Like, at least this is who Braun Breaker is. This is, where he went to school and he played football and he was a good running back, and then he got drafted by the Ravens or went to their camp. And when he finally got cut, he went back home, and here's his dad and here's his uncle. Like, they did a good job at telling you who Braun Breaker, the person, was.
Yep.
And I thought for 5 minutes, like, yes, this is how you should feature guys. Having them out on a fishing boat, saying that they're like living their dream, showing them playing football and their ascent through life. And here's their family. And to their credit, this is where probably the best I've heard Triple H in a long time, talking about not being just another Steiner, but being the best version of Braun Breaker. And I didn't think they did a great job, but they did a couple of, like, oh, Roman Reigns is so much bigger than Sika. And like, I don't know if Roman would like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Roman's watching that going, okay, but still my dad, like,
yeah,
still my family. And what was the other example that they used?
It wasn't Cody. It was the other example that they use in terms of a family.
Yeah, it was somebody else that, like, it was The Rock. And
The Rock.
And Rocky Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not the best example, because obviously The Rock is way bigger than Rocky Johnson, and like, it wasn't close.
Yeah.
But the idea that they can develop into their own people and their own characters, and yes, they have family history, but they can still jump into something else and not just be in the shadow of their family. And I thought they did a decent job at explaining that, and especially Triple H, because he's the boss that, wants them to grow into their own people and not just their family.
Yeah. Again, human interest story, getting to know Braun Breaker a little bit more, learning his background. Again, you mentioned it. They showed the scene of him on the boat, and he's out fishing solo, other than the cameraman that was also there.
Yeah.
And just going out, getting fish and showing his progression, how he wanted to be a pro wrestler. I did love that promo that they showed in 2021. It was such like dumb jock wrestling energy. I don't go out there. I don't go off the rope and do flips. And I was like, yeah, let's go. That's my guy right there. That's my guy right there.
I was waiting for We Hurt People. Yeah,
exactly. I was like, we drop them on their heads and whatever. Like, I was ready to go. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. But I understood what Triple H was saying in terms of, you don't want him to be the next. But it would be nice if he ends up being like another Steiner, because those were pretty good. They were pretty good wrestlers.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I know.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Here's where it got me, though. So then they go to the Clash in Paris, and they're talking, and there's Triple H, and there's Braun Breaker, and they're sitting in the chair, and they're basically going like Braun Breaker saying, I can't believe that he's doing this. like about Roman Reigns,
Yep.
right? Like it's almost like a dream. Like I just can't believe that he's doing that in Triple H. Well, yeah, like he sees a lot in you guys, and I think if we went to him and said, blah blah blah, and he said, no, I don't see it in them. And it's
he said, not a lot of top stars do this. So the fact that he's doing it, as you mentioned, clearly, like they see a lot in you. And if you're like a wrestling fan, you haven't been catching up. You're thinking, oh, he's about to win this big match against Roman Reigns.
Like they're literally building it up, going, Roman's going to put you over.
Yep.
Then you come to find out that Roman's not even fighting him.
No,
he's fighting Bronson Reed and not him. And oh, by the way, Roman won the match.
Yes, they showed the pinfall. They showed him winning the match.
And so, yes, afterwards, Braun came out and speared him, and it was a decent spot, right?
Yep.
As he kind of walked the guardrail and speared him on the announce table. Okay, it's a good spot. But what are you guys saying? Like, I can't believe Roman's doing this. Number one, Roman's not putting anybody over.
No.
Okay? He's literally burying you guys on a B pay-per-view. Second of all, when Roman beats Bronson, he needs something to do. So you going out and spearing him after the match and everybody making it seem like, oh man, the old guys, they just get it, man. Like they're putting the next generation over, and this is what happens. And Triple H is sitting there talking to him about this is how the business evolves. Like, yes. This is why we do what we do. Like, this is about Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed is losing to Roman Reigns in the ring. And yeah, Braun Breaker hit him with a spear afterwards.
Yeah.
Put him out. Because Roman Reigns needed something to do after he cleanly beat Bronson Reed. This isn't Roman Reigns doing anything for anybody.
Oh,
come on.
I was so confused watching this. Like, wait a minute. I don't remember Braun Breaker taking on Roman Reigns and winning. Like, I remember the other way around. I remember being Bronson Reed getting the victory, but it wasn't at this show. And I was like, oh, this is kind of odd. And then they show that angle. And before they even get to the angle where a classic Triple H angle, again, one of the 6 booking ideas he has, where he has the guy in the black sweatshirt with the hoodie on, which is not the only black hoodie angle of that show, by the way, because we find out a little bit later on a different storyline. But Bronson's like coming in, he's got his headphones on. This is before the angle. And Triple H is sitting at his desk with all the monitors, right? He's like, yeah. Bronson, come here. When you do it, I want you to be a cold killer.
Steiner,
yes.
You said Bronson, that's all.
Yeah, Bronson or whatever. He called him over. He's like,
Braun Breaker.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I need you to be a silent, cold bleeping killer. I need you to be a silent, cold bleeping killer. All right? Oh yeah, all right, let's go. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's like they're hyping this up, and it's like every angle you've seen from the main events guys in the last 15 years of pro wrestling, as you mentioned, so that he could have a storyline after the show after beating the guy clean.
Right. So I'm Roman. I'm going in there going, okay, so I'm going over clean tonight. But what do I have after that? Okay, you want to mix Braun Breaker in? Okay, sure.
Yep.
I need something to do after this. And they are making Roman like he is doing something that most people do not do for the business. I'm like, I just can't believe that they went with that angle. Like Roman was doing something and the young kids are kind of looking up to him and going, oh my God, thank you, Roman, so much. Oh my God.
It was disgusting. I just like, it was disgusting. Like they showed Braun afterwards, like, man, like it's so cool that Roman was able to do that. We're so similar. We're both guys with a football. I'm like, it's an angle that you've been on TV for years and have done angles like this.
Yeah.
They showed you earlier on in this very show that we're reviewing, you like running down and spearing people. all over the place, and you're just doing that, but it's to Roman Reigns. This is not new. This is not, wow, Roman's really going out of his way to put, he's really making somebody. No, he's not. Trying to get his next storyline over. Hulk Hogan would do the same thing. Hulk Hogan. And they were like putting this over as like, oh wow, this is like a lot of top stars don't do this in pro wrestling. Oh. Hulk Hogan did this for Billy Kidman. If he could do it for Billy Kidman, Roman Reigns could do this for Braun Breaker.
Yeah. All right. So
anyway,
we agree on that. Because I watched, I'm like, this, guys, come on. I paused it. I wrote down a couple.
I felt like the stupidest person in the world after that. Like, I was like, wait, what? I kept getting delineated into this separate thing. And I'm like, maybe I don't know pro wrestling as look, I'm clearly not in the WWE or AEW, but I like to think I know a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at this like, what are you trying to get across here? So anyway.
Well, the good news is, Zach, is they go right from Braun Breaker after Michael Hayes telling him like it was just unbelievable. Like, how'd it feel out there? Oh yeah, and he's shooting his
yeah. Like, you really like got that over. Like you like the time they were like, oh, so like I stopped on the announce table and I was looking at him. Then I went because he was turned around looking at the audience, right? Like, yeah, that looked really good. That really came across well on TV. Marks, honestly, just
okay. So we go from there to CM Punk, and then, as you said, it's the next hooded figure is in Paris as well. It's CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and very quickly CM Punk's like, I won the title. Oh, but then I didn't, and then
and I was brought back to the SummerSlam where Punk is literally standing there on the stage, seeing Seth Rollins throw the crutches down on the stage, realize this is all a ruse, and then he's just walking down into the ring like nothing happened. And Punk is standing there, like just looking at him come down, and then lose the title after that. So I was reminded of that again, from this angle.
So they basically show you that the rematch after Seth Rollins cashes in again on Punk, and it's in Paris, and it looks like Punk's going to win, but then the hooded figure comes out, Zach.
Yep.
The hooded figure in Paris again. And this time it's Becky Lynch. Gives the ball shot. CM Punk talks a little bit more about how it was a little stronger. And they basically show you the angle that Becky Lynch has helped out Seth Rollins and he's kept the World Heavyweight Championship over CM Punk. My next time I had to pause it was right after. They're in Gorilla. There's Seth Rollins. There's Becky Lynch. There's Triple H kind of throwing out ideas about tomorrow night. You know, I was wondering, like, maybe we could, you know what? Maybe we could do this. And what if you just weren't on the show and like, it's kind of spitballing here. And I'm Zach. Now I've paused it, and I'm like, so the whole angle of bringing Becky Lynch back. Like, we all know that Becky Lynch is coming back and then AJ Lee's coming back, which we'll get to in a minute. And it's going to be, you know, Punk and AJ Lee and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. And like, okay. Mm-hmm. It's a decent storyline. You're telling me that on Sunday night, they didn't know what they were doing on Monday night in a storyline that was probably written 6 months ago? Like, Zach, I could have written the whole story from Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and AJ Lee, and every single moment of every single show that they were going to be involved in, every angle. I could do it in an hour. because once the idea was out there and AJ Lee was going to come back, they had something. And I'm not even saying it's a bad something. It's not. But playing it out in Gorilla like you don't even know what you're doing on Monday Night Raw the next day to further the angle, and you're telling people that you don't know, you're literally showing them. Like, I kind of got some ideas, but I don't know. Like, what do you think? How about, like, what do you think about this? Because I'm not sure. Like, what? What? Zach, I was not. Was not.
Just the three of them surrounded and just
was not
yeah,
about this.
No, I don't blame you. I don't like just watching it is like, yeah, as you mentioned, like apparently this was not thought ahead of time when they were starting this angle. It's like, what, you know what? This idea just kind of popped to my head.
Right.
Like the angle's over and it's just like I sat back in my chair in Gorilla. I was like, you know what? This is gonna be great. What we do for tomorrow.
We've been too busy to think about tomorrow until now. But
yeah.
What?
But now that I have both of you here, I want to give you this idea that just so happened to pop in my head.
Anyway, I was in any imagine like on other shows that have lasted this long on television.
Yeah.
Seinfeld's and Friends and The Simpsons and all that stuff. Imagine like ending a show and then being like, got another taping tomorrow. I don't quite know what we're going to do yet.
But there was something I saw in that previous episode that we could build off of if we wanted to.
Yeah, pretty sure that like all these things were written a long time ago. And yeah, you can alter them, come up with different things, but they've been written. Oh my God. It's laughable sometimes what they put on the air. Like, even if that's true, I'm not telling anybody that. I guess that's my point.
Yep.
But if I haven't thought it through and I really don't know what's coming up tomorrow night, I'm not broadcasting that on a documentary about behind the scenes.
But the way that they were trying to convey it was like, man, like Triple H is just such this great thinker. Like he's really able to adjust on the fly when he senses something needs to be different. Like that's the sense I got watching this. It's like, guys, I was watching this is like, I just got this feeling that like after watching everything, why don't we? And then he explains like, why don't you not show up? Like Seth's not there like for the majority of the show, but then Punk comes out and blah, blah, blah. Like they want to make it come across like, you know what, this great idea, this brilliant idea it just came into Triple H's head. It's like, oh, that's so smart. The fact he's able to think of this on the spot like that with his talents is just unbelievable.
So let's go into a little bit of positivity.
Yes.
I knew the story, but I think for a lot of people who don't, a little bit, I thought they could have done a better job at basically showing what AJ Lee was before. Like they did a little bit, and she was, Divas champion, and she was around for 10 years. And I didn't think they did as good of a job, but I do think a person who is watching this that doesn't watch wrestling, and it's like, there's CM Punk, and they kind of know who he is. And there's his wife who used to be in wrestling, but she's gone away. And she's talked about, physical health and mental health and doing all these different things. And here's their dog, Larry. And this is just like the first family of the WWE. I thought they presented that well, right? Especially with Punk kind of like, and I'm sure he does. I'm not saying this sarcastically, but like adoring his wife and having her come back and just the background of Larry and everything else is that to me is what I thought some of this show would be. They're really introducing an audience that doesn't watch to who these people are. And I thought the next few minutes about Punk and AJ Lee and Larry the dog was, decent television and telling people about who they were.
Yep, this was easily my favorite part of episode 1. Uh, I've said a lot about Phil Brooks, CM Punk in the past, so I hate to report he came across really likable here on this episode of Unreal. I was going to say
He,
Dark Side of the Ring, but
he did come
yeah,
across very likable.
he came across like a super likable guy. And AJ too came across like they all came across
Yeah.
really well in this. And as you mentioned, the explanation of like their backgrounds, how they met each other, and how they've it was kind of funny. It's like, Phil had his problems with the company. Is like, boy, that's an understatement. Like when you mentioned that, like, bit of an understatement there. But like, it was good. Like, I was following along. I saw Larry, and like, we know how this ends. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is gonna be tough when we get to this point if they're introducing Larry the dog here.
Yeah.
But I thought this was well done. Again, explaining their backgrounds, and AJ's finally coming back. Like she thought she was going to be gone, but this storyline was, being created, and she gets to work with her husband, and like the nerves of like getting back out there. Like it was all legitimately well done. Like if I were to just unplug myself from, the WWE critical analysis of the creative, just from a, putting together a television show aspect, this was really well done and made you connect with these people. So I thought they did a good job on
Especially
that.
with AJ Lee too. About the best part about what they showed was basically her coming through the diva search, and she didn't look like all the other divas.
Right.
Like, she wasn't 6 foot tall, and it was, she didn't. She had to start out and doing like, I don't know, like bra and panties match and things like that, and she kind of fought through that to legitimize the division a little bit more, because she was, she's a very good looking girl, but she wasn't the prototypical what they had on television for the previous years before that. And she was just like a real person.
Yep.
In the best way possible. And that's I'm glad that they've gone away from that. And they showed it very well that she did bridge some of that gap, right? Yeah, she was still part of the Divas and a Divas champion and not a women's champion. And we've come a little bit further, but they did show where she bridged that gap. And I think that's important, because I do think the people who love wrestling, and some of the women who love wrestling, like Triple H said in it, that there were people in the crowd that would not have been old enough to watch her live.
Yep.
That knew and were so excited. And again, there's even videos. They didn't show it in this one. I thought they should have. There's a unbelievable video of her when she's like 12 years old and she meets Lita for the first time.
Yes.
And she is like absolutely bawling and in tears. And especially because it was Lita, because Lita and Trish before her were like the two that tried to get the division to another level. They did. They main evented a Monday Night Raw. I wish they put that video in, because it, to me, kind of shows AJ Lee was always different, always loved wrestling, always loved, always wanted to be the Litas and the Trishes and, into the spotlight. And then they transferred that story over a little bit to the equality part of that. Were you surprised that she hadn't signed a contract until 30 minutes before she went out?
Not crazy surprised, because surprising to hear, Lee, but this is not the first time in WWE's history where guys just about to go out, oh, by the way, we need you to sign all this paperwork. Like that was the same thing that happened to Punk when he returned to WWE. And he's in Chicago. They had to get the contract signed while he was there behind the scenes before he went out. So I wasn't too surprised. I think if you're somebody that's new to pro wrestling, or you're coming at it like, or even just a fly by night pro wrestling fan where you'll just have it on the TV every once in a while, I think you would definitely be shocked by that. It's like, wait, they're doing this like 30 minutes before they're about to go on air. And they even mentioned in the show where AJ's like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't know what's to come here, because I haven't even signed the deal or their contract. And I think if you're a newer viewer, I think that would kind of get you a surprise. But This is not the first time in pro wrestling that that has happened.
Yeah. So then they go out and basically it's the debut of AJ Lee. What did you make of like them showing the debut, the reaction, the behind the scenes? Because I thought this was all really, really good stuff. I did like the line from CM Punk too, that you got to pop like it was the Road Warriors in Atlanta in 1985.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's CM Punk in his big wife guy element, just pointing over his wife. But she did get a loud pop. And there was also the scene of like them outside. It's like, by the way, social media over 1 million views for your debut, your return here in Chicago. So all that stuff was well done. I did get a kick. There was one moment here that actually made me laugh out loud, was when they were describing AJ Lee's like real name being April, and here, yeah, Ape. And Ape, and the story of her being like, Punk was telling Bret Hart, calling her Ape, and Bret sending a text over to CM Punk going, "How is Ape doing?" But instead of APE, it's a gorilla emoji that's sent back. That legitimately got a laugh out of me, because I'm like, yeah, I could totally see Bret sending that sort of text. And so that made me laugh. Yeah, it was a great like human element. Like, this stuff didn't make me mad because they didn't go into the booking and try to tell you how it was going one way when it really. This felt like, and you alluded to it earlier, this felt like a true behind the scenes, locking you in and getting to know these characters. And they probably did embellish some stuff, but they at least played it off where I felt like it was at least real enough where I could buy it.
Yep.
So this is like a true behind the scenes for me. Look at like the returning superstar, the returning wrestler, coming in, and her husband works for the company as well, and how they're incorporated into the storyline. I thought all this stuff was really well done.
To that point, Zach, this is where like they do the behind the scenes stuff and it's all really good, but I'm noticing some things. And what I thought was, and we'll see as the show goes along, but I thought was really, really noticeable, was through all of this. This was a couple versus couple thing.
Yep.
And they had no Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch. The only Becky Lynch comment they had was some weird, "I'm tired."
Yeah, I only slept an hour before this, and I only got 3 hours on the plane or whatever.
I think I'm doing great. Like, I don't even know why that was in the show.
It was very odd. It
had nothing to do with anything.
I think they were trying to make it trying to make it personable and be like try to show the impact of like all this traveling, and Becky's known as more of a wisecracking person, like she's a character for lack of a better term, but it just came across awkward for me. But
I thought it was super noticeable, like even backstage when they got behind the curtain after it was all done. And people are there to congratulate. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Because you see wrestlers all the time, right? Like when they showed Cena and AJ Styles go out there in Paris, and then, they're behind the scenes and they're back there and they're congratulating each other, and the Logan Paul stuff too. Which, by the way, we kind of skipped over, but I thought Logan Paul, again, comes across really well in all this stuff.
I know. I'm the same way. I don't like the guy, but every time he's in this...
How do you not like this guy?
I have my reasons.
Every time he's on, he comes across well.
All I'm saying is I don't want to buy his cryptocurrency, Lee. That's all I'll say. But
okay.
We're all his cards. Maybe go to trips to Japan with them. I don't think I want to do that either. But there's a couple of things there, Lee. But
we're all not perfect.
No, I agree. But some more than others, Lee. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, this isn't about Logan Paul. I just think he comes across really well.
No, I agree with you. Like, the whole sequence where they're going over the match with Cena, that stuff's also kind of interesting for me. I know you'll have your purists, and I say this as somebody that I guess is a purist based on how I've ranted in the past, but like, you'll get your purists is like, oh, I can't believe they're showing this or whatnot. It's like, it doesn't bother me. Like they showed it. It's like, okay, this is how we're putting this together and like showing Cena's strength. So like that stuff was interesting.
Okay. So did you notice this as well? Like no Seth Rollins, no Becky Lynch. Anytime they show Punk and AJ Lee behind the scenes and like trying to get a perspective on it, like I would have liked their perspective on them coming back.
Yeah, I noticed no Seth or Becky other than that one Becky backstage clip.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the old school way of like they're thinking like we're feuding and we can't show that we're in on this? No. Like I know, like you know what I mean? Like, do you think there's that element? I could believe it with Punk. I don't know if I believe it was Seth.
I think it's the element that they really don't like each other.
Okay.
That's what I see that. I just think that they don't love each other, and
I think like
I
think it's more of a Punk and Seth thing than an AJ and Becky. I think they get along, but
Becky does seem to rub some people the wrong way. But yeah.
Well, we talked about in the previous season of this and how we were kind of like, I was somebody that was a Becky Lynch guy, but the more I've seen stuff, I'm like, I don't know if I'm like, I don't see her as a locker room leader. Like, especially that Lyra Valkyria stuff still irks me.
I agree.
Like, the only person that going up was Cena, and it just irks me. So yeah, it was noticeable though. I did take note of they didn't really get any comments, but I kind of like I could see your argument. There's also a part of me that's wondering if it's just like their commitment to the feud, like because Punk has said like we're long-standing rivals. I hate that man. Like it's still kind of old school pro wrestling, and Punk would certainly be somebody that would do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not 100% all the way with you, but I see where you're coming from.
All right. So I do want to get to, because afterwards they go back to Cena. And I just still have a lot of trouble, I guess. And you're going to have to explain it to me.
I was going to ask some of the same questions probably. So we'll work through this together. We'll workshop.
All right. Because again, they go back to the theme of the show and the why.
Yep.
And he literally goes, oh, this one's easy.
Yeah, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then I leaned forward in my chair. It's like, all right, John Felix Anthony Cena, explain to me, the wrestling fan, why this was so easy. Something that I missed in all of this. Why Brock just kicked your ass to a pulp. And we have not gotten any follow-up to this since then. It was just he showed up, he kicked your ass, and he left. So he's like, oh, that's easy. All right. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready too. We're finally going to get an answer here. The why of it all, Lee. The why.
Well, I didn't understand really even what he said.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, John, you're talking all sorts of different things, and I came across at the same place I was before you answered the question. He's like,
I didn't know, Zach. Like, he's like, yeah, like this one was easy. Like, it upset the audience, and it makes total sense that he just kicks my ass. And
because I'm already on the way out. And okay, like we knew you were already on the way out, but why in this match?
Known for a long time.
Yeah, like why this match though? Like, what was supposed to be the reason for this match? And you notice who didn't answer that question, Lee? You know who didn't answer the booking question about why they did this? Nowhere to be found. Not the man is all over when he's taking the praise, Lee. But when it comes to this, nowhere to be found. One Paul Triple H Levesque. Not a camera on him. Not some sort of an explanation from him. No, they put all the heat on Cena. What a company guy that is. I would be like, if it was me in that chair, if I took over the body of John Cena, and I was that ripped and whatnot and flexing on camera, and being all wacky, I would be like, look, man, I don't know. I listened to Triple H and he was the booker. Like that's what I would do. I'm not taking any of this heat. You kidding me? But they put all the thing on Cena, and Cena's like, Cena explaining this. It's what I mentioned earlier is like, he says a lot and then says nothing at the same time. It's unbelievable. Like he said so much in there, and then I came away being like, you didn't answer the question.
So
Like
he didn't answer the question. And to your point, I'm like, I just need someone to give me context on this. But
even if it was just, hey, I would have been satisfied with, hey, we were looking to go down this path with this match.
right.
But like, if that's what they were trying to go for here, because they tried to tie this in to, because apparently, and this is news to me, I didn't realize this was the case, but apparently Cena's next match was going to be against Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
I don't remember us discussing that at the time. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. Now, if they were trying to say, if they could just come out here and say, look, we wanted to go to this match with Drew McIntyre, and this is the plan coming from this, but then we pivoted. Great. And they tried to do that, but at the same time, they didn't tie into why they did the Brock match in the first place. It's very weird.
And there was no context on this. Like, whatever John Cena said, I have no idea what the why is. Like, he's like, oh, this is easy. And then he just said a couple things, and I have no idea what the answer was.
Yeah.
But like you said, we didn't hear from Triple H. We certainly didn't hear from Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
We didn't hear from the rest of the booking committee.
Yeah. No Michael Hayes, no Bobby Roode, no Bruce Pritchard.
There's no
none of those people. No answer. It's just Cena that answers for this.
Right. And whenever he said, like, oh, this one's easy because we want to, like, he didn't say anything. Anyway, this was a mind-boggling moment for me, because this is one of the things I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Like, it's great, the human interest stories and the Punk and AJ Lee and that sort of stuff. But the stuff as a wrestling fan, you want to know, like, oh, they did this and Brock went out and just destroyed Cena. Why'd they do that again? No answers.
He was on the way out. Is John Cena. Like, well, yeah, we know that's not the answer to the we know that answer already. We want the answer to why you booked this match that way. But he's like, oh, I'm already on the way out, so a champ can win every day. Yeah, but like, why in this case are you getting your ass kicked?
Right.
Why? As I was shaking my head, and I'm like, please stop this. And then the explanation and them they were trying to say in this that like they were trying to go to Drew, right? But then he cuts the promo with Logan Paul, and then the crowd's chanting AJ Styles, and it's like they all work togetherly, and Cena put out the tweet being like, you know, hashtag Styles versus Cena. Is that what people want or whatever? And then they came up with this brilliant idea of, you know what? How about we have Cena face off against all of his rivals and have good matches? I mean, it's just, and they explained this like it was such this revolutionary idea. Like, that's not been the core concept of pro wrestling for years.
But they didn't think of it, though, at the beginning. It's halfway through his run. And now it's like, oh, yeah.
You know what we could do? We could have him, you know, face all of his best opponents and have him go out there and have great matches. Wow. Put me in that room. I would bring that up. Hey, Paul, I have an idea. For the Cena thing, it's not working. I have an idea. AJ Styles is on your roster, and those two had great matches, and clearly they both want to work with each other. I think they should have a match, Paul. I really think these two should have a match. Oh, goddamn, that's brilliant. You know,
so then they go past the John Cena thing, and they go to Seth Rollins and getting hurt against Cody Rhodes in the Crown Jewel. There is so much like rich irony about all of that. They based most of season 2 off the fact that like we're gonna fool everyone and we're the smartest people in the world, and Zach coming off that. Now Seth Rollins, because they're the smartest people in the world, they've worked everyone.
Yeah.
He's in this like unbelievable position, and he's the world heavyweight champion. And now he gets hurt in a match with Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. And they show good for them. They showed it a couple times, and you could almost see like he landed wrong. And
I remember that spot. I remember looking at that spot. It's like I did not think I would see a diving coast to coast headbutt, especially from Seth. And he did it, and then he landed on his shoulder all awkwardly, and
yeah, and you could see it was kind of out of place, and then but this Zach, like, and again, they did a good job behind the scenes. Seth Rollins does get hurt. Don't worry that you based all season 2 off the fact that it was the smartest thing in the world to pretend that he was hurt. But now that he's hurt, I can't even get over how the show ended. I can't. I can't. Because then Triple H is saying, like, you just sometimes, like, you got all the plans and they got the guy with the whiteboard and he's like erasing all of the whiteboard. Like, basically, apparently on a whiteboard was like just 6 months of their plans.
Yeah. All just there. Right.
It was just there. It was like, oh, Seth Rollins got hurt.
Blow it up.
Blow it up. What are we going to do? Like, just erase everything and start at the beginning. And Zach, they go off the air with the creative room just sitting there in silence, looking befuddled. Seth Rollins getting hurt for real. And they're going off the air like they got no answers. Like, literally, the creative room sitting there, and they're just sort of silent and hands in their heads and
blow it up.
Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, they did the dramatic scene of the off the whiteboard,
right?
And just being a blank. It's like, Lee, think of it imagery wise, like it's a blank canvas to work with to try and create the next couple of months of storylines, because one guy, granted in that company, a pretty big guy, one guy got hurt. So you gotta blow everything up.
They acted like no one's ever been hurt. In fact, they fooled everyone when he wasn't hurt last season. And now that he's hurt, they have no answers.
They're just sitting there looking at that whiteboard, arms folded, just like,
what?
Man, how are we going to fill this? How are we going to fill this whiteboard? Well, maybe you should have erased it. Maybe just the name and be like, maybe we switch this guy around. Maybe we give this guy a push, whatever.
Don't you have like more than one idea for the next 6 months that maybe, just maybe, you have contingency plans and you go through and literally you would map out everything for 6 months? And to me, once you finish writing 6 months and you're happy with it, and this is the direction that we want to go, I am then going to like all of my top guys, like all of them. What happens if Seth Rollins gets hurt? What happens if Roman Reigns gets hurt? Or CM Punk? Or Cody Rhodes? Or like, what are we doing in this case? And in this case? And in this case? And then formulating like many ideas off of that, right? Like, you can have whiteboards all around the room.
Yes.
You can whiteboard for if Seth Rollins gets hurt, a whiteboard for if CM Punk gets hurt. Like, you have to have more than one idea. And a guy, look, they do, it's a tough profession and anything can happen at any time. And we see that almost everyone gets hurt at some point. And that's the whole thing. Like, everyone gets hurt.
Yep. It's
a physical sport. It's not unlike, it's not this weird, and remind me who the soccer player was for Canada.
Oh, they got hurt. That's
well, he broke his leg. Like,
yes,
not a lot of guys break their leg against Qatar in the World Cup. Like, that's a
Ismail Kone.
Yeah. But like, okay, you might not have written, 14 million contingency plans for Kone getting hurt because you don't think a guy's going to break his leg in a soccer game. But they also know if Kone's playing bad, what are we doing? Right?
You mean they have a contingency plan?
I'm going to think that they certainly had one.
Yeah. You mean they look at the roster and be like, well, think of the NFL or CFL, a depth chart. You think they would look at the depth chart and be like, next man up?
And this goes back to me And this, like, the show closing goes back to the line that we talked about earlier. And I'm just like, befuddled's not even the right word. But the line earlier that you said you wrote down as well about how they have to have a plan for the new guys coming up, and they have to be ready for, like, and know where they're going to go. Right?
Yep.
We got to get the younger guys who we need in the next year in the mix and have an idea of where we're going with them. Okay, Seth Rollins is not a young guy. He gets hurt. Where are you going with your young guys, and which guy are you going to put into the position? You know what, guys? We just have no answers. What?
It's speaking out of both sides of their mouths here. It's like, you can't. Episode 1, Lee. This is episode 1, and this is all the stuff that they threw at us. I can only imagine. Like, I can't wait. Well, I can wait, but for more of these scenes in front of the whiteboard where all the names are listed off, and they've got their arms crossed, and Triple H has got his little marker in his hand, and he's like, looking at it, is like, well, how is this going to look for this guy, and how is it going to look for this guy, and just like having to look at the young guys, but also we have Seth is hurt, blow it all up. Like, I just, could you imagine if a football team, like, their one guy got hurt, even if it's their star player, and it's like, all right, well, we're training everybody on the team. Like, that would be crazy.
So it is 5 episodes long.
Oh, there's 4 more.
Zach,
there's 4 more.
This is good audio, man. This is where we want to be. This is what we need to do. This is why we do what we do, because they do need to be held accountable to when they do talk out of both sides of their mouths. They need to be called on it, right? Like, you can't just decide you're going to say anything and just, oh, you're going to believe me, but if I'm going to say something else next season or that completely contradicts that, just believe that too.
It was truly astounding how they contradicted themselves in their own show.
Yep.
Like, literally from a whole, like, arching storyline in season 2, they just nullified at the start of season 3 and try to, like, put one past you, be like, oh, by the way, this is Cena's idea, and Cena's been thinking about all this stuff, and Cena's, like, really contributing all this, and Cena's putting all this effort into this, but it doesn't work all the time, and so you got to go to Triple H, who's got, really, like, locked into how things go in WWE. Like, episode 1, this was, Lee. Episode 1. I want to know. I want to know how this big Braun Breaker push goes and how they view it in this. I want to know what their idea of a push is.
Well,
right?
even, and we'll see how much they do on Obafemi, if they do anything at all by the end. But Obafemi is one guy that they have chosen to go forward that looks like it's a decent idea.
Yep.
So, but again, we went into WrestleMania, and I know this is ahead of where they are in the show, but we went into WrestleMania going like Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans are like your next 3 guys, and they're going to like major push. And Javon Evans nowhere to be found. Trick Williams won the U.S. title off Sami Zayn, and then he got into the Gingerbread Man, and then nothing.
Yep.
Like, I think he still has the U.S. title, but like, I don't even know what he's doing anymore. And to me, the Trick Williams sort of ascent has completely plateaued.
Yep.
It's only Obafemi. And I'll give them credit for it. You have to, but like, I think Obafemi's done a hell of a job.
Yep.
So, yeah, it'll be really interesting. Got 4 more episodes. As you said, I do think they're going to focus a lot on, I mean, they showed you that John Cena especially Punk, AJ Lee, Larry, and they're going to get to the point, that we know what's coming with that. And they will focus on those people. I want to like the John Cena thing because I think he respects the business. Not always my favorite worker, but respects the business, has done so much good in the world. I want to like him. And then he gets on here and he says a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not really about anything, but it is convincing. But you look back on what he said and you're like, I don't know about that. So
there was the scene where he was with the kids, funny enough, during the entrance for that Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just also funny where he's like, I'm on the way out. I'm like, well, what about all these kids you brought out? It's like, and you did great. Like, it was great. They showed the shot of him being like, all right, when you're going out there, you got to do this. And like, you could see why he's this face of the company for so long, because he's very, very good at that. And you could see him like, but then you have him just explaining these creative choices, the whys of it all. And I just sit here baffled and I feel like I watched this and I felt like I had been bashed in the head with a mallet and told that I don't actually know what pro wrestling is, and I should be grateful for the work that these guys have put in to get to this point, because I don't know any better and they know everything. As they hit me over the head with these talking points and thinking I'm just an idiot. And this is, again, episode 1. I thought I was going to come into this as like, there'll probably be some annoying stuff in like episode 3 or episode 4. And I'll be mad about that when, certain people will say stuff. But man, this was a tone setting episode for me.
I agree, because it's now going to take this route. It's a tone setter. So now we know what to expect, and it's going to be great for This Is Wrestling and the people who follow us along and you along, because we got 4 more times where you're going to work yourself up into a lather, and it's going to be fantastic, because it's only going to get better. This is just the introductory episode.
4 more. 4 more of these. All right. Well, that was episode 1.
What I like, and kind of I wish you had done it before, but you're committing to it now, is watching just one episode and then coming on and talking about it, and not watching the whole thing and then going back and talking about an episode. You're doing this like chronologically in order, and I like that. You're fresh.
Yes, I used to just try and get all of it done at once for time's sake. But Lee, I had no motivation at the end of this first episode to like watch the second one. I'm like, whenever Lee wants to record the second one, I'll watch it. I'll get mad again. Yeah. And then I'll come on here and talk about all the things that made me mad about this episode. And then we'll do it all over again. I'm not watching all of this in a one sitting. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to enjoy the sunlight. I'm going to enjoy the wind. I'm going to enjoy grass. I'm going to enjoy the weather. I'm going to enjoy all of that so that I can feel something again after I had the life sucked out of me from episode 1.
The wind.
I can't wait to enjoy the wind, Lee. Something brushing up against my arm.
Well, Zach,
the grass, the trees.
Look, I know there's a lot of people who are like watching it all and then just doing reviews on everything right away. And I get that, but we're going to just do it weekly.
Yep. It's all over Twitter. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to avoid it.
I'm trying my best, but there's also, because people are aware that I don't like this. And so they send me stuff and they're like, Zach, look at this. I'm like, no.
Right.
I'm saving it for here.
No.
Not going to work for me, brother.
Exactly.
I'm like, you're probably right. It's probably going to annoy me, but I'm not going to look at this.
Yes.
All right. We're saving it for here.
It's perfect. Yeah. So we will have episode 2 of WWE Unreal next week. And we appreciate you tuning in for this. Again, to plug other things, we have a lot of kind of separate entities with This Is Wrestling. We're doing individual reviews of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, which we have done episode 1. That is out. And we will continue to do that and hopeful that kind of people follow along, and because it's starting from the beginning. We're doing Dark Side of the Ring. And as we sit here right now, I believe it aired tonight.
Yep.
Necro Butcher and Samoa Joe. Looking forward
to that.
Looking forward to the review and watching that and the review of that. And then, of course, depending on when you're listening to this, we got a whole bunch of stuff coming up with AEW Redemption, the van rides to and from, and the show. I don't know how, like, they do deserve some criticism. This isn't the place for it, but how they just threw in on a collision that, oh, by the way, Will Ospreay and John Moxley are going to fight the Young Bucks at the pay-per-view. It's like, what? That's your best match? What? Anyway.
Looking forward to it, but
I'm totally looking forward to it, but it's just a weird thing. But that's what we do. Doesn't matter if you're AEW, WWE, or anything else, Dark Side of the Ring or Maple Leaf Pro, we're going to call it like we see it.
Yep. We'll explain the why of stuff. We'll do that. That's easy, Lee. I'll tell you why. And I'll give you a bunch of word salad for 5 minutes. Wow, he really said a lot of words there. He clearly knows what he's saying.
What was the why again? No idea.
I don't know, but he really said it eloquently.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 1, and we'll have them weekly here on This Is Wrestling, which will take us through most of the rest of the summer. Looking forward to that. So for Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks for being with us on episode 1, season 3 of WWE Unreal here on This Is Wrestling.